Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Regional Development Assessment Panel. I declare the meeting open at 9:43 a.m. and acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we are joined by people from other lands across the state. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters, and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the DAP Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of the DAP Regulations. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. I'd like to introduce the members that will be participating today. My name is Dale Page. I'm the presiding member. In the room with me on my left, we have Eugene Coltaz, Deputy Presiding Member, and Mike Moritz, Specialist Member. Online with us from the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder, we have Councillor Terence Winner and Councillor Wayne Johnson. Apologies, we have an apology today from Councillor Kirsty Della from the City of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. Noting of minutes of all previous DAP meetings are available on the DAP website. Moving on to Part B, Item 1, Declaration of Due Consideration. Panel members need to have considered all the documentation contained within Part B of the agenda and the Part B related information. Could I please confirm by a show of hands that members have considered all information? Thank you. That's unanimous. Item 2, disclosures of interest. Could I check with our local government DAP members whether this application has been before you at a council briefing or a council meeting?
No, it has not.
Thank you, Councillor Winner. I haven't received any disclosures of interest to this point. Do any members wish to make any disclosures in relation to this item?
No.
No? Great. Let's move on then to item 3, which is our Form 1 DAP application today. Lot 15, Goldfields Highway, Fraserville, proposed industry, which is the electrical substation, DAP number 25/03011. We have 2 presentations on this item today. Firstly, we have Ross Underwood and Julie Liu from Planning Solutions. And then we have Scott Lambie from TPG, both speaking in support of the proposal. We also have Emma Barron from Transalta Energy to answer questions from the panel if required. I remind the presenters that you have 3 minutes in accordance with our standing orders. We haven't granted any extensions of time, so we have read the written documentation you've provided, so I encourage you to stick to your most salient points in your 3 minutes, and then members will be able to ask you questions afterwards. Julie, I believe you will be doing the presentation. Your 3 minutes starts when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, presiding member and panel members. We're here today representing our client Transalta. We're also joined by Scott, as mentioned before, and Emma Barron, who will be available to answer any questions later on. As outlined in our deputation summary, we are supportive of the city's recommendation for approval. So we're here today to reappoint our concerns in relation to condition 5, 6 and 7. We consider that these conditions are not relevant to a planning approval as they pertain to matters regulated under a separate legislations. Conditions 5 and 6 in particular are more appropriately imposed as advice notes, and we would like to draw the panel's attention to the existing advice notes 4, 5 and 6 relating to building permit, clearing permit and Western Power approvals. So these already direct the client to secure approvals under other statutory frameworks. It is unclear why Main Road WA access and Aboriginal heritage matters should be dealt with differently. Furthermore, the client will need to obtain these approvals the same way they must obtain a myriad of other approvals. So we ask, why are these imposed as conditions rather than advice notes? Condition 7 is that our primary concern is due to the cost imposed. We're seeking for this condition to be removed for the reason being that the facility will be operated remotely for the vast majority of the time with about 1 to 2 access per month for maintenance purposes. and the trips undertaken this infrequently do not warrant sealing of the access road. Scott Lambie can further address this later on following this presentation. Furthermore, matters relating to the management of debris and crossover construction within the state road are covered under a separate legislation and approval process. So for these reasons, we ask RDAP to remove this condition. The same justification applies for condition 6. Access permits and agreements required by main roads arise under separate legislative frameworks and will be obtained regardless of whether they are imposed as planning conditions. The condition is duplicative and irrelevant to the planning approval, and we ask RDAP to remove condition 6 as well, or alternatively impose it as an advice note. For condition 5, following correspondence and discussion with the Department of Planning, Land and Heritage, the client has considered to reroute the cables above ground and outside the mapped heritage area, so as demonstrated in our deputation summary. The department has further confirmed that approval may not be required if disturbance occurs within the mapped heritage area. Nonetheless, Aboriginal heritage approvals arise under separate legislation. This is a matter between our client and the department, and the city has no role to play in this process. So similar to previous conditions, we ask RDAP to remove condition 5 or alternatively impose as an advice note. This concludes my presentation for today, and I would like Scott to invite Scott to address the sealing of the access way, and subsequently my project team will be able to answer any questions as well.
Great, thank you. We will go to your presentation, Scott, before we open to questions of the applicant team, so your time starts already.
No worries, thank you very much. Yes, condition 7, where it states that the driveway should be sealed for a length of 50 metres into the site, is inconsistent with Main Road's own driveway policy. Section 4.1.10 of the driveway policy states that, as a general rule, the driveway should be sealed to the frontage boundary if, under the opinion of the regional manager, pavement material from the driveway may be carried by water runoff or vehicles onto the seal of the road. But as a minimum, the length of the longest vehicle using the driveway is the length of the driveway that should be sealed. Now, in this particular instance, the typical vehicles visiting the site will only be 6 metre long light vehicles. The verge between the road pavement and the road reserve boundary is 24 metres. So essentially, under this condition, which of course we're being asked to be removed, they're essentially asking for a 74 metre long sealed driveway for vehicles that will typically be 6 metres in length and are very infrequent visitors to the site. Now, the concern that we have with a driveway of this length being sealed is the unintended consequences that may occur for such a remotely located site with very limited surveillance. So having a sealed driveway may, over time, encourage free campers to use the driveway, particularly because what's being asked for is so long and the ability to get off the edge of the road. Vandals getting access to the site, and also hoons and other antisocial behaviour that may occur on a sealed driveway in a remote location. Essentially, looking at the design of the site and the driveway, there's no significant risk associated with the driveway itself in terms of runoff from rain bringing material onto the road that doesn't currently already exist with the gravel verge that exists adjacent to the site. So, yeah, certainly we feel that there is a separate process for getting approval for the construction of an access off a main roads controlled road. We don't feel that the condition, certainly there's no justification in the RAR as for the length that they've requested. So we feel that this condition could actually be removed, and negotiation with main roads between the proponent or main roads for the specification of the driveway can be done through the separate application process.
Thank you very much. Spot on your 3 minutes, Scott. We're going to hand over now for questions of the applicant team. I'm going to start with our councillors online. Deputy Mayor Winner, do you have any questions?
Not at this point in time. Thank you very much.
Councillor Johnson, we're not able to see you properly. Are you able to adjust your camera up a little bit, please?
Is that better?
That's way better. Thank you.
Rightio. Okay, there it was.
Yeah.
No, I have no questions at this stage as well. Thank you.
No questions. All right, members in the room, any questions of the applicant team?
Just one in regard to the crossover. Is that more likely to be a crossover application? What's the verge width from the edge of the pavement to the edge of the property?
Yeah, it's 24 metres.
24 metres. So that would be part of the crossover application with main roads?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? No? Thank you to the applicant team. We might ask the city officers to come forward and take a seat at the table. I have on my run sheet that we have Blake Elridge and Paul Lees with us today, but we don't have Paul Lees.
No, both tied up. No.
That's all right. Could we just have your name for the record?
So my name is Kevin Tang, from the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder. I'm the coordinator of statutory planning.
Great, thank you.
With me to the right is Blake Elridge, our senior planning officer.
Great, thanks a lot. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is, I don't want you necessarily to go back over and summarise what's in the RA. We've read that. But if you have any comments to make on the issues that were raised in the deputations from the applicant, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, or we can go straight to questions of him if you would prefer.
Yeah. So with in response to condition number 5, so sorry, I just change the order a little bit, in relation to Aboriginal heritage place. So the city referred the application to the Department of Planning, Lands and Heritage, Aboriginal heritage team for comment. The department provides, I quote, Aboriginal heritage place Wooloolaba Dam Creek would need an approval for any disturbance to be carried out that would affect the place. This is an artifact scatter and a traditional water source. Our records indicate the south bank of the creek is where the artifacts remain. But because the site boundary is recorded as unreliable, I recommend that the land user carries out a heritage survey prior to ground disturbance. So even though that the applicant may have proposed to use a different method, but given the boundaries are unreliable, so we still think that the condition should remain. And I think also because condition is being worded in such a way that we only require written evidence, so we didn't ask them to obtain approval or Section 18 approval from the department. So we think that it's consistent with the department's advice. In relation to condition 6, so this application was referred to Main Roads for comment as well. This condition was requested by Main Roads. And the city is of the view that this condition is consistent with clause 67(2) of the planning and development local planning schemes regulations, that the proposed means of access to a site is a relevant planning consideration. So we think that the condition should be retained. Again, the condition has been worded in such a way that we only need evidence from Main Roads. So it's not like we are requiring an approval from Main Roads as a third party. In relation to condition 7, so again, the condition was requested by Main Roads. We agree that the condition can be amended so that it satisfies Main Roads requirements in terms of access point and the length of the seal inside the boundary.
Okay. Thank you for that. Questions of the city staff. I'm going to start again with our elected members online. Deputy Mayor Winner, do you have any questions of the city staff?
Thank you, Presiding Member. No, I think the city officers actually just answered the question I had. I'm aware that Section 15 of the Main Roads Act will override anything regardless of an RDAP outcome, but I think the officers made it pretty clear in terms of where they've come from, so I'm satisfied at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson, any questions from you?
And once again, mine's along that same lines. Section 15 of Main Roads Act basically trumps everything that's out there. So with that in mind, I'm looking at condition 5 remaining.
Thank you. Members in the room, any questions of the staff?
No.
I just want to prompt you on something. And picking up on some of the comments that have been made by the elected members. So those conditions, those 3 conditions specifically, there is a statutory need for approvals under the Aboriginal Heritage Act and under the Main Roads Act, whether we apply these conditions or not. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
In terms of,
I guess under the Aboriginal Heritage, under the Act, under Section 18, they need to either get the relevant approvals, or it's written in a way that they should be they should demonstrate whether or not they need an approval. The advice we got is that it's unclear where those boundaries are, so that's under the initial set of plans, which are formed as an attachment. The condition was provided because it showed a underground line.
Yeah.
Yep.
But whether it's a planning condition or not, you have to adhere to those requirements, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. There are no other questions of the city officers. I'm going to move to the report. And in front of us, we have a report that recommends approval of the application, subject to a number of conditions. Do I have a mover for that recommendation? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Winner. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Thank you, Member Coltas. Councillor Winner, do you wish to speak as a mover?
Thank you, Presiding Member. I will briefly speak to this. I think the conditions outlined within the RDAP from the city is pretty fair and in line with expectations for a development similar to this. As highlighted through the presentations, Main Roads, regardless, will have the conditions in place and do have the power to act, regardless whether these were moved or not. So I think it's important that they continue where they are. That was the advice that appears the city has received directly through Main Roads, or what their conditions would be. So I think it's really important that we continue to support the application in full as per the recommendation, and then leave the conditions in place as they are. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Seconder, Member Coltas, do you wish to speak?
Yes, just in terms of the overall application, under the local scheme, local planning scheme number 2 in the rural zone, the land use industry is compatible with the objectives of the rural zone and has no impact on the amenity of adjoining or nearby users or uses. It's essential infrastructure to support a number of mining activities in the region. It's a small footprint on a large lot. It meets all of the development standards other than the height of the structures, which once again have no impact on any of the users or of the locality or other uses. Hence the discretion to approve the variation over 20% is supported. The access, as we know, is under Main Roads control, and I think that the conditions from my point of view, whilst I don't think they're necessary for condition number 6, it doesn't faze me that they have to provide evidence, but it could hold up works on the actual development while there is some negotiation occurring with Main Roads, and it could just trip up this important piece of infrastructure. So I would be saying that I would ask that condition be an advice note rather than a condition.
Are you seeking to move that as an amendment?
Yes, I'll move also conditions 5 and 7, because once again that they're all pretty straightforward, subservient to other legislation, and if they're asking for prior to commencement of works, experience has shown that a lot of times whilst negotiations are occurring, there's no objection, but some minor technicalities are being worked through.
I might just grab a second for that before we talk further to it. And I propose that we actually deal with these conditions separately. So
yes.
if you are seeking to move the deletion of condition 5.
Yep, I'll do that first.
And inclusion of it as an advice note. Do I have a seconder for that amendment? Seconded, Member Moritz.
Yeah.
Back to you if you wish.
Once again, as I was saying, that these requirements are part and parcel of other legislation. The planning purpose is to make sure that that has been obtained, but there are instances when these sorts of conditions can hold up the majority of the works that are occurring on site. So for that reason, I'd be moving that it get deleted and be put in as an advice note.
Thank you. Member Moritz, do you wish to speak as seconder?
No, I'm happy to support.
I'd like to reword it though.
Sure.
So that the proponent is advised that they may require approvals under Section 18 of the Heritage Act to undertake their works.
Thank you. Do any other members wish to speak for or against this amendment? I will speak briefly to it and then I'll come back to you, Deputy Mayor. I do pick up on the previous comments that were made by the Deputy Mayor that if it's covered anyway and the staff want it included, then it should be included. I think I agree with the reasons provided by Member Coltaz that this stuff needs to happen anyway. But if you're clearing conditions, if you're requiring them to be cleared as planning conditions, they could actually hold up a whole program that actually could be happening concurrently with these approvals, which deal with a single component of the application. Another reason why I will support this is it is not good planning practice, in my view, for this DAP. If local governments want to deal with it differently, that's fine, but it's not good planning practice generally. And for this DAP, to include planning conditions that are based on other separate legislation that needs to be adhered with anyway. So whether these are conditions of planning approval that need to be cleared by the city, or whether they are advice notes that alert the applicant to approvals that they need from other agencies who are responsible for other bits of legislation, it makes no difference in terms of those things being done at the end of the day. I just think it is better planning practice for them to be dealt with as advice notes, and that's why I will support the deletion of the condition and inclusion of it as an advice note. Councillor or Deputy Mayor Winner, you wish to speak?
Just a question, if I may.
Yep.
Thank you. Are we looking at the deletion of just 0.5, or is it 0.5, 6 and 7 into the advice note, just to confirm that?
We're dealing with them separately. So right at the minute, we're just dealing with 5.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, any other member wish to speak for or against this first amendment to delete condition 5 and include it as an advice note? Nothing further? Member Coltaz, back to you. Do you wish to say anything in closing?
Nothing further.
All right, we're going to put that amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Back to you, Member Coltaz.
Yes, I would move the deletion of conditions 6 and 7, and that a new advice note be developed to read that the proponent is advised that they will require approvals from Main Roads WA for access to the site. Full stop. And I'll add the words, this may require the sealing of the crossover into the site.
Bear with me a sec. Do I have a seconder for the amendment as proposed? Seconded member Moritz. Do you wish to speak further to that?
I think once again it just refers to the fact that there is other legislation and approvals processes that the proponents have to adhere to, and the detail of crossovers and so forth are part of that. And I think it's best served to be an advice note rather than bringing in a planning condition for that.
Thank you. Member Moritz, do you wish to speak?
I just briefly, I think the removal and the replacement with the advice note makes a lot of practical sense. The requirement for the ceiling for 70 odd metres into the site seems somewhat unreasonable in a location like this, so I'm happy to support the removal of those conditions and replacement with an appropriate advice note.
Thank you, Member Moritz. Elected members online, does anyone wish to speak for or against this second amendment? Councillor Winner.
Thank you. I'd be speaking for the proposed amendment. I think, as rightly pointed out by the other panel members, we don't want to slow down the commencement of works by any means, given that the recommendation is to approve the works anyway. I'm comfortable with these 3 points being moved, or these 2 points in this particular item being moved to advice notes, given, as we stated before, if Main Roads require it, they can force it through regardless. So for me, it's neither here or there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Johnson, do you have an opinion on this advice, on this amendment?
No, I just mirror those same comments. The Main Roads will do what they do, and Aboriginal Heritage will do what they do. And in this case, we don't need to tie it up.
Thank you. Look, I will speak briefly as well. I too am happy to delete the conditions which relate to the Main Roads. I will speak a little more to condition 7. Condition 7 is bigger than just Main Roads because it actually contains an access leg within the property. I know it's been requested by Main Roads, but that is something that the city could ask for reasonably or unreasonably. In my view, I don't think it's a reasonable request to require the sealing of that bit of road. I do share the concerns that Mr. Lambier raised about the expectation that creates for users of Goldfields Highway. And I do struggle with the need and nexus for that portion of sealing given the low usage of that road. So in my view, I don't support the bit of sealed road within the property boundary, and I'm happy to support the deletion of condition 7 on the basis it'll get wrapped up in the Main Roads approvals, as will condition 6. With that, I will hand back to the mover, Member Coltas.
No further comment.
Thank you very much. We will put this amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Do you wish to speak further as second on the substantive?
No, no further to add on my support for the overall recommendation.
Great.
As amended.
Thank you very much. Does any other member wish to speak for or against the substantive motion? Councillor Johnson, do you wish to speak?
No.
Member Moritz?
No, thank you.
No. Right. I will very briefly just wrap up, in summary, I'm happy to support. The proposal is consistent with the city's local planning strategy. It facilitates essential infrastructure for the mining sector and underpins economic growth in the region. I think it's well located to avoid any conflict or interface with sensitive land uses, and I'm satisfied that the proposal addresses all applicable matters under clause 67 of the planning regulations and also meets the objectives of the rural zone, as it will not constrain or compromise the current, future use of surrounding rural zoned land for primary agricultural purposes. I note that the proposal also meets the relevant standards of the planning scheme, except for the height of the light tower, but I think this variation has been well justified in the city's report. I note the proposal was advertised to the community and referred to relevant agencies, and no objections were received, so I'm very happy to support. With that, I will hand back to the mover of the substantive to close, if you so wish, Councillor Winner.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Look, I think yourself as Presiding Member has covered a lot of the points I had noted down as well. So for the interest of time, I think I'll leave it at that and encourage everyone to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now put that substantive motion as amended to the vote. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 4, Form 2 DAP applications. There are none for Kalgoorlie-Boulder today. Item 5, Section 31 SAT reconsiderations also nil. Part C, other business, SAT applications and Supreme Court appeals. Details on all of these are listed on the DAP website. With that, I draw the meeting to a close at 10:14 a.m. I thank our members online for participating today. I thank the staff for coming all the way from Kalgoorlie for this meeting, and I thank the applicants for coming in for your deputations. And thanks again to the wonderful staff of the DAP Secretariat for making this all happen. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.